YN's POV. That night, we sat at the kitchen table in silence. It was rare for us to have dinner without the tension in the air, but tonight, it was different. We ate our food without much conversation, but there was an unspoken understanding between us. He had been doing that a lot lately, letting me set the pace, letting me take my time. I broke the silence when I finally put my fork down, my voice quiet but firm. "Jungkook," I said, meeting his gaze. "I've been thinking about what happened. I know you've been trying. But there's something I need to hear from you, something that will help me move forward." He looked at me, his expression open and vulnerable. "What is it?" I hesitated. Part of me was still afraid of his response, afraid that it wouldn't be what I needed to hear. But I knew that for us to move forward, I had to ask. "I need to hear that you understand why what you said to me was so wrong. That you understand the impact of calling me that word." Jungkook's face fell, and I could see the guilt wash over him. He looked down at his plate, his hand gripping his fork tightly. I understand," he began, his voice tight. "I know I can't take it back, and I hate myself for saying it. I've spent every day since that night thinking about how wrong I was. It wasn't just the word, YN. It was the way I treated you. I made you feel small, insignificant, and that's something I never want to do again." I watched him closely. His eyes were filled with pain, and his voice trembled. For the first time in days, I felt the weight of his sincerity. "I never should have said that," he continued. "I know I can't undo it. But I want you to know that I see you. I see everything you are. Everything you've always been. You're not that word, and you never will be. I was wrong, and I'll spend my life trying to make it right." A lump formed in my throat. Part of me wanted to cry, but I held it back. Not because I didn't want to let my emotions out, but because this moment felt significant. It felt like we were on the edge of something raw, something real. "I hear you," I whispered, my voice shaky. And that's what I needed to hear. Jungkook's POV. I felt like I could breathe again. The weight of her words, the way she said, "I hear you." It was like a small weight had lifted from my chest. I knew that I couldn't fix everything in one conversation, but hearing her say that she heard me was a step. I knew there was more to work through. I had to prove to her that I wasn't just sorry in the moment. I had to show her that I could be the man she deserved day after day. "I'll keep showing you," I promised. "I know I've hurt you, but I'll keep proving that I can be better, that I am better for you." Her eyes softened, though they still held a cautiousness I respected. She wasn't ready to fully trust me again, and I understood that. But hearing her acknowledge my effort made me believe that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild. Author's POV. The path to healing was neither quick nor simple, but with each step they took, no matter how small, it became clear that Ian and Jungkook were learning to understand each other in new ways. Jungkook had learned the hard way that love required more than just being there when it was convenient. It meant being there in the hard moments too. And Minate was learning that healing wasn't about forgetting the pain, but finding a way to live with it and move forward. Though they still had a long way to go, they were no longer standing still. Chapter 7. The Quiet Resurgence. N's POV. It had been several weeks since that dinner, and things were slowly beginning to feel normal again. Not in the way they had been before, not with the same ease or comfort, but there was a new kind of understanding between us. Jungkook had kept his word. He wasn't perfect, no one was, but he had shown up in ways that mattered. He still made my coffee every morning. He still left small notes for me on the kitchen counter, and most importantly, he listened when I needed to talk. We were learning to trust again, and it was working. One evening, after dinner, Jungkook sat beside me on the couch. I could feel the old familiarity creeping back. his arm brushing against mine, the quiet hum of the TV in the background, the shared space between us that didn't feel as cold anymore. He turned to me, his eyes searching mine. "I love you, YN," he said, his voice soft but sure. "I don't know what the future holds, but I want to be here, with you. I'll keep showing you that I'm here." I smiled, the warmth spreading in my chest. "I love you too," I replied, the words coming easier now. "And I'm willing to see where this goes." And that was enough. For now, it was enough. Now it... Borware Wien's POV. I sat by the window, watching the rain fall in soft sheets outside. The world was hazy, the air thick with the scent of wet earth and pine. Inside, the apartment was quiet, save for the occasional hum of the refrigerator and the faint tapping of keys as JUNG worked at his desk. It had been a few months since we'd started trying again. Things between us had changed. The rawness of the past had begun to fade, but there were still moments where I could feel the weight of what had happened. Some days it felt like we were tiptoeing around each other, afraid of pushing too hard, afraid of saying the wrong thing. Other days, it felt like we were starting to find a rhythm again, the ease we'd once had, slowly making its way back. Today was one of those days where the air felt heavy, a strange tension I couldn't quite shake off. I had noticed the way JUNG had been quieter lately, his eyes often lost in thought, his brow furrowed. It wasn't the same coldness from before, but a kind of internal struggle I couldn't quite understand. I stood up, walking into the living room where JUNG sat. He was leaning back in his chair, eyes fixed on the screen in front of him, but his mind seemed far away. His phone buzzed on the desk, and for a moment I saw him hesitate, his finger hovering over it before he let it buzz off. "Hey," I said gently, sitting down beside him. "Are you okay?" He turned to me, his face softening as he saw my concern. "Yeah," he replied, though I could tell there was something off. "Just work stuff. I'm fine." I knew better than to press him immediately. I didn't want to overwhelm him, but the unspoken tension was starting to build between us again. Something was off, and I wanted to understand what it was. "JUNG," I said quietly, "you've been distant lately. It's like you're here, but you're not really with me, and I don't know what that means for us." He sighed deeply, rubbing a hand over his face. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice hoarse. "I don't mean to be distant, YN. It's just that I feel like I'm losing you again, and I don't know what to do about it." I blinked, surprised by his confession. It wasn't the first time he had shown vulnerability since our argument, but there was something about the way he said it, raw, honest, that made me pause. "You're not losing me," I replied, my voice soft. "But I need you to be present with me, in more than just the physical sense. I need to know that you're really here, that you're still fighting for us. You can't pull away when things get hard, JUNG." He looked at me then, and there was a depth to his eyes that I hadn't seen in a while. It was the look of someone who was tired, yes, but someone who truly wanted to try again. "I don't want to lose you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. I've been carrying so much guilt. I know I can't change the past, but I feel like I'm always one mistake away from ruining everything, and I don't want to hurt you again." My heart ached as I listened to him. I hadn't realized how much weight he was still carrying, how much guilt he still felt. I understood it now, though. It wasn't just about the one moment when he called me that word. It was about his fear of never being good enough, of never truly earning my trust back. "You won't lose me, JUNG," I said, my voice firm yet gentle. "But you have to stop running from it. You need to stop thinking you're going to mess it all up, because that fear will drive us apart." There was a long silence, one that felt heavy but necessary. Slowly, JUNG reached out and took my hand in his grip tentative at first, like he was afraid I might pull away. But I didn't. I squeezed his hand, giving him the reassurance he needed. "I'm here," I told him softly. "I'm still here." Jungkook's POV. Her words hit me like a wave, crashing through the walls I had built up around myself. I had been so focused on my fear of losing her that I had started to pull away without even realizing it. I had convinced myself that if I didn't get too close, I wouldn't hurt her again. But what I hadn't understood was that pulling away wasn't protecting her. It was pushing her further from me. I don't know how to do this, I admitted, my voice trembling. I don't know how to prove to you that I'm not the person I was before, that I'm not going to make the same mistakes. You already are, Jungkook, she said, her voice steady, but there was a softness to it. You're here, aren't you? You're trying. That's all I need to see. I felt a surge of emotion, relief, guilt, gratitude, all mixing together. I didn't deserve her patience, but somehow she was giving it to me. Slowly, I leaned in, resting my forehead against hers. I'll keep trying, YN, I whispered. Every day, I'll keep showing you that I can be the man you deserve. I'm not perfect, but I love you, and I want to fix this. I want to make it right. Her hand rested against my chest, her fingers brushing lightly over my shirt, a tender gesture that spoke volumes. I know, she said softly. I know. Author's POV. The road to healing was not a straight line. For Yin and Jungkook, there were moments of tension, moments of doubt, and moments of raw vulnerability. But the deeper they got into their relationship, the more they began to understand the complexities of love and forgiveness. Jungkook's fear of messing up again was something that weighed heavily on him, but it was also something Wan understood. She knew that the real work wasn't in erasing the past. It was in moving forward, day by day, and choosing to be present with each other,